Does classical music make you smarter?
Yes, learn an instrument.
Yeah, do it. There's a lot of evidence out there that music really enhances our ability to express ourselves, to be communicators.
There are thousands of patterns that you have to absorb in order to create a voice. Music has to be more than just playing the right notes, and that step only comes when you know the intricacies of a phrase.
With classical music, there is a level of detail and a level of structure that can really enhance our cognitive powers.
But not the viola. It's not intellectual.
So classical music has this reputation for making people smarter.
It's seen as intellectual, highbrow, even elitist.
But is it really, or is it just bullshit?
You might have heard of something called the Mozart Effect.
The so-called Mozart Effect.
The Mozart Effect?
The Mozart Effect. What is the Mozart Effect?
The idea that exposing your drooling toddler to classical music will have a beneficial effect on its mental development. Although the term has become pop psychology legend, the original study didn't even measure IQ. Participants were actually tested on abstract spatial reasoning after listening to Mozart's Sonata for two pianos in D major. The study did end up finding that Mozart listeners had higher test scores.
Sound too good to be true? Well, it was. Firstly, the effect was temporary, lasting roughly 10 minutes. Follow-up studies found that listening to Blur or even a Stephen King audiobook gave similar results.
Although it's disproven, the Mozart effect lives on, fueling the myth that if you listen to classical music, it'll make you smarter.
The idea that listening to and participating in music makes you smarter, there are a whole load of elements of truth to that. It makes you feel happy, it improves our temporospatial reasoning, it allows you to communicate things that can't be said in words. We mustn't confuse it with the Mozart effect. Not true, been disproven, and certainly listening to classical music also hasn't been proven to make you smarter than listening to death metal.
But it's not just the Mozart effect. Why do we have this idea of classical music being this higher form of art?
Well, a big part of the elitism is because we think of classical music composers as geniuses. It's actually a relatively new thing though. In fact, composers in the 17th and 18th centuries were paid staff attached to houses of the European upper class. They weren't geniuses, they were employees. Chef, make me a sandwich. Composer, write me a symphony. I'm a dickhead.
Things changed at the turn of the 19th century, and it has a lot to do with that old, sexy topic. Copyright. Basically, the score of a piece of music could be copied, published, and sold.
This liberated the composer from their oppressive rich overlords, but it also inflated their heads. Composers started calling themselves geniuses in direct communion with nature and the heavens, channeling the human spirit through the intangible magic of music.
And the music critics got in on the hype. Fast forward 200 years, and the idea has stuck.
People who like classical music often, think that music is superior to other forms, and it tends to be particularly strong among educated people.
And, people think that, that makes sense because, smart, rich people go to symphonies. So that's kind of appealing to people, or something that, if you have this sophisticated experience, it's going to, have some other side effects. But there's just no evidence that it's true.
So now we think of classical music as being better for you than other kinds of music. But really, it was just the pop and background music of its time.
And these composers were just as hedonistic as the rock and pop stars of today. Don't forget, Mozart wrote this wonderful little song.
Leg mir den Arsch Weinrecht, schön fein sauber leche ihn.
Music is the most abstract of all the arts. You can't kind of grab it, you can't pick it up, you can't put it down. Being involved in music by listening to it, by trying to work out how it works, by making it, whether that's singing or playing an instrument or tapping a drum beat on a computer, that is incredibly good for all different kinds of brain development. I think people should learn music because learning music's a great thing.
So it turns out that classical music doesn't actually make people smarter.
But what about non-humans?
What about?
So it seems like all the experts think classical music doesn't make people smarter. But they didn't say anything about guinea pigs.
Meet Ludwig van Pigthoven and Guinea Stefani. These little bundles of cuteness are going to go toe to tiny toe in a battle of the wits.
Our set designer, Dorothy, has kindly made us this challenge maze in order to test the guinea pig's spatial reasoning skills, problem solving, and general geniusness.
Ludwig van Beethoven will be listening to a selection of classical music for its time in the maze, and Guinea Stefani will be listening to a selection of inspiring contemporary pop.
Who will be the fastest to finish the maze? Will listening to classical music make Ludwigi faster than Guinea Stefani? There is only one way to find out.
Introducing, weighing in at 2.2 pounds, the Mozart of the maze, Ludwig van Beethoven.
Ready, set, maze. Yes.
Yeah, you totally got it.
No.
Totally don't got it. Well, okay, it's movement of some kind.
Triumphant piggies in a maze. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
Incredible work.
I love this. Yes.
Amazing. Go Ludwig. Go Ludwig. Nope. Nope.
Ludwigi had some trouble in the first section of the maze, but then blitzed through the middle.
It's the 5th minute.
No, come on.
No, that's Bach. Definitely predates Beethoven.
He needed some coaxing in the last half. Almost. Oh, stop the clock! But made it across the finish line in style.
Well done, Ludwigi. You've laid down the challenge for Guinea Stefani. That is going to be a tough time to beat.
And now the challenger! At 1.8 pounds, this pop princess can chase the pace. It's Guinea Stefani! Yeah!
Got it.
You're funky, you're fresh, you know how to strut it. Oh, not backwards.
Come on, Guinea Stefani, you can do it. Let this inspirational groove propel you through the maze. We're not against you jumping over the top. It's okay in Mario Kart, it's okay here. Incredible work.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we tried to give Guinea Stefani as much support as we could, got rid of the pom-poms, turned our backs, even stopped the music. But in the end, she just couldn't complete the race. So we called it a day.
So it's clear, classical music did help Ludwigi complete the maze.
Yes, but did it make our furry little friend any smarter?
Debatable.
And what about our science? Was it flawed?
As an academic, definitely.
I think the takeaway is that music in general is good for you and that learning it and playing it are probably going to make you smarter.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be classical music. It can be anything. Unless you're a guinea pig, in which case maybe avoid music in general.
And just be cute and fat, like this.
Maybe avoid mazes as well, I reckon. Give them a miss.
Hold me, Dad. Give me celery.
Thanks for watching. We hope that unlike classical music, this series has made you smarter. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can cram more facts into your noggin.